It's currently 10:19 p.m. and Dad just finished cooking the meat lasagna that he got from Aldi's the other day. This is what I have so far of the special project. Pretty much done with this side. So I'm currently working on this side. Now I completed this part of the side, this side for the most part, in the last hour or so, while listening to a YouTube upload of The Crossing, of which I've watched most of it. I found it while on a bit of a rabbit hole in which I looked at videos that I got upon searching American Revolution documentary on YouTube. The 90-minute movie is based off the Battle of Trenton. One of, if not the most pivotal battles of the American Revolutionary War. It's a pretty good movie to listen to. While cooking the meat lasagna, Dad put pepperoni on top of it. Put in some extra cheese and some crushed red pepper. He makes some pretty good additions to food to make it even better. These are all markers I either used today, some of them, or used at one point or another. While working on this project. I worked on this part, essentially completing that side of the jeans, in the early afternoon, I recall. And basically, before I sat down with my dad in the living room to watch the United States Wales game of the 2022 World Cup. The United States got a goal around a third of the game in, and then some time later, the Wales team got a penalty kick and made it in, tying the game up. And that's ultimately how the game ended after roughly 100 minutes on the clock, because the clock keeps running even when the team calls timeouts or their injuries or there's otherwise a need to stop the game. It's supposed to be a 90-minute game. But there'll be stoppage time. So it could very well be a 100-minute game. I recall getting up around 9:30 in the morning after going to bed somewhere between 5 and 6 in the morning. And I woke up around that earlier time after going to bed even earlier. As for the side I'm currently working on, when it comes to the polystyrene drawing, these are the Sharpie markers that I use for the jean belt straps. These 3 Sharpie markers for different parts of each jean belt strap. It's these things that connect the belt to the jeans, these straps. Though each time I do more jean belt straps, and by that point I've had to use one or more of these Sharpie markers on something else and end up mixing them up and having to figure out again that it's those 3 colors, those 3 markers I used to do the jean straps, the jean belt straps that I did previously. Also, it's not always easy to keep to be accurate when you have to judge a distance when it comes to Sharpie markers and overlapping layers. I think this part of the belt is a little thicker than this part. Yeah, but I made sure to try my best when it came to judging the distance. And all that really matters in the end is that you keep practicing. Shortly after I got up for today, I had some cups of coffee. Maybe 3. Roughly from 10 in the morning to about noon. And then from 10 to 10:30 in the morning, I had 2 toasted bagels with butter. And then around 2 p.m. I had technically another toasted bagel, but that one had melted cheese and pepperoni in the middle in order to kind of make a poor man's pizza. And then a little bit later, I had a little bit of beer. Kind of just in an effort to try something new. A brand of beer that Dad got from Wegmans the other day. So I tried it one sip at a time, and it turned out to be pretty good. It's by the Wrench brand. That aluminum can of beer had roughly a third of it. The rest Dad poured into a glass for himself. I think with that, around the time of that pizza bagel, a little bit later, actually made around the same time. It just took longer to cook. Dad made the chicken egg rolls. And they tasted pretty similar to the pork egg rolls I had the other day. But they were enjoyable regardless. Dad didn't really have any sauce to go with the egg rolls, but there wasn't really a need for any sauce to go with the egg rolls. They were nice and crunchy regardless. This is where I am currently on Elvenar. If I recall correctly, the Fellowship adventure, it went pretty well. I talked to my mom in the afternoon. I think at some point today there were plans for us to go to the DMV to get my permit renewed, but I believe it was decided we would do that tomorrow because by the time we thought about it around, Dad thought about it, around 2 p.m., the United States-Wales game had already started, and by the time it would be over, it would kind of be too late for us to make it to the DMV before it closed, I'm thinking. At least that's my understanding of what happened based on my recollection. Throughout the process of working on this side and other parts of polystyrene drawing, I took time ultimately to consider what details I would include and exclude. Basically, what I needed to draw to be as get all the nuances I could of the genes, and ultimately to make decisions on what I should do on each part of the polystyrene drawing. This is part of a black raspberry. A tin or gallon of ice cream or black raspberry flavor that Dad got at Wegmans a while back. It's pretty good.